Engineering, the gentleman, at least for us, in the middle of the bottom row. Just so council members have an awareness of who that is.
Now I know.
Are we going to appoint him temporary mayor?
You know that first cup of coffee you make in the morning? That TV you turn on to catch the news?
Miss Vermillion.
Or that nightlight
Can
in
you
your
hear me,
daughter's
Rich?
bedroom? They're all things we sometimes take for granted will always be there.
You're on
From
mute.
light switches to laptops, they're all powered by the reliability of Vermillion Light and Power. Learn more online at vermillion.us.
Everyone counts in our neighborhood. Everyone here is a neighbor. You count too. Yes, you count too. Come on, neighbor. Everyone counts in Vermillion, yes. Everyone counts in the census. You count too. Yes, you count too.
Mr. Nate,
Well, hello, Chuck Coyote.
do I count in the census?
Of course you do, Chuck. You're living in Vermillion on April 1st. You're a neighbor. You count.
But I'm a full-time student.
Still, you count.
But I rent an apartment.
Still a neighbor. You still count.
G'day, mate. What about me? I'm on a student visa.
Our international friends all count too.
Fair dinkum?
But my parents in Brookings still claim me on their taxes.
Still, Chuck, you count.
But
Listen here, little buddy. You still count here, and every person we miss is like $1,600 less in federal funding for this community, and that hurts people and puppets alike. So just take this iPad, go to census.gov on March 19th, and fill it out. Everyone counts in our neighborhood. Everyone here is a neighbor. You count too. Yes, you count too. Be a good neighbor and fill out your census, friends.
Apparently they can, but we can't.
And where the comments were. Okay. We are on now.
$7:01.
Sorry.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order. Mike, you could take the roll.
Collier Wise,
Here.
Helwig,
Here.
Holland,
Here.
Humphrey,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Sorensen,
Here.
Ward,
Here.
Wilson,
Here.
Mayor Powell.
We're going to be doing a few things a little bit differently today. being that we're primarily remote. And one of those things is, although we will all participate in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll just have one member of the council lead that. So Brian Humphreys will be leading that tonight. You will all join him silently.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item is adoption of the minutes from April 6th, 2020 special meeting and April 6th, 2020 regular meeting.
Move the minutes.
Second.
We had a motion by Howard and a second by Catherine. All those in favor, please indicate on the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Helwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Motion approved. Adoption of the agenda. I believe one change that we are going to make to the original agenda is that new business item A is going to be moved to the end of our agenda. Is there any other changes, Mike or John?
No.
no.
Move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Catherine and a second by Tom. All those in favor, please indicate at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Helwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Agenda adopted. Visitors to be heard. When addressing the council, persons addressing the council shall use the microphone at the podium or comment through our YouTube stream. Please raise your hand to be recognized, go to the podium and state your name and address. For items not on the agenda, members of the public may speak under visitors to be heard on any topic not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes and no decision will be made at this time. For agenda items, public testimony will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the chair and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes to speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item may. Public testimony will then be closed and the topic will be given to the governing body for possible action. At this point, only City Council members and staff may discuss the current agenda item unless a council member moves to allow another person to speak and there is unanimous consent from the council. Questions from the council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the presiding officer at any time. Is there anyone present at City Hall that wishes to speak on an item not on the agenda?
No, there's no one here to present.
Because we know that there is a slight delay on the video feed, we'll give a couple of seconds for anyone to comment on that. And James, I'm not able to get to the feed right now, so if you have any questions that you could send to me in the chat or read them aloud, I would appreciate that. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to public hearings. Item 6A, issuance of a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license for Baby Street 2 Inc. for Carrie's Bar at 18 West Main Street. And Mike?
The application was received for a retail on-off sale malt beverage license and South Dakota farm wine license for BB Street 2 Incorporated for Carrie's Bar located at 8 West Main Street. The retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota Farm White license is for the licensing period that would expire on June 30th, 2020. The City Council has the ability to issue a license on 2 criteria: suitable applicant and suitable location. As to the suitable applicant, an on-sale liquor license has been issued to the BB Street 2 Incorporated corporation that operates Carries for many years with the same corporate officers. Therefore, a background check was not requested of the corporate officers. With respect to the location criteria, again, the on-sale liquor license has been issued to this location for many years. The notice of hearing along with the police chief's memo are included in the packet. The application fee of $150 to the city and $150 to the Department of Revenue has been paid. Administration would recommend approval of the retail on sale malt beverage license and South Dakota Farm Wine license unless input from the public hearing provides additional information.
Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak to this item? We'll just give it a few seconds. And I do have the live stream now. Seeing none, any comments from the council?
Move approval.
Second, Wilson.
Got a motion by Ward and a second by Wilson. All in favor, please signify at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Helwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our next item is old business. Item A, review of and possible continuation of Ordinance 1413, emergency ordinance to address COVID-19. John?
Thank you. When the City Council adopted this ordinance in March, as you know, it provided that each time the City Council met, you would review the continuation of this ordinance, any changes that you might want to make. You could also have a special meeting to make changes in this ordinance or to end the ordinance. Those were options or language that was placed in that ordinance when it was adopted in March. Since the last meeting, we've had one contact here at City Hall by a hair professional, as was noted in your memo, about consider adjusting it with respect to procedures with enhanced safety practices, such as gloves, masks, or spacing of customers. That was a comment that was offered to the City Administration. We also noted in the memo that since you last met last Thursday, the White House did issue some guidelines with respect to changing items such as Emergency Ordinance 1413. In the date of your last meeting on April 6th, the Governor issued Executive Order 20-12 that was issued that day that also provided some guidance with respect to what you might be looking at. We did include in your packet kind of a framework or a way that you may lay out an ordinance, a resolution if you wanted to make changes to it. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have at this point in time.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to make a comment on this item? I'll give it a few seconds. Seeing none, I will turn it to the council. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
There is a question.
I have a question, Madam President.
Go ahead, Tom.
Comment. I've heard this afternoon from various business people. I'll just kind of I won't say whether I agree or disagree, but I promised that I would pass this information, these comments on to the members of the council. In my own opinion, I still favor listening to some of our local medical people. We know our community best, despite what they do in Pierre and Washington. But we've got to consider all the options. So I've heard from business people who say, quote, I understand the severity of this pandemic and feel we, as a city, have made a great move in the right direction, but would like us to consider some ideas at least. How about opening or allowing a soft open, that's kind of a quote, limited way so that limit so many people per square foot or in an area like the grocery stores do. When you're in line, you stay apart and you go one way down certain aisles. They also would like us to consider allowing patios or parking lots, outdoor type facilities for small groups if you keep people at a safe distance. And also please at least discuss these or any other ideas that we have. And again, I brought this out because I was asked to, and I still favor the wisdom of our local leaders, especially the medical personnel that we have available here in Vermillion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Julia?
I really appreciate that, and I have heard also from the public more in favor of keeping closed. But I do want to acknowledge the difficulty, and we know that this is very hard on our small businesses. That said, I agree with Tom that we, at the moment, should keep strong and keep the emergency ordinance in place, in part because from historical records from the 1918 flu, which is the most comparable, as well as from CDC and World Health Organization recommendations, they suggest that actually a reopening, even a soft reopening of society, can actually have even worse detrimental effects and see an even larger spike. And so unfortunately, I think at this time, we just need to keep strong and keep close. I think we're doing a great job in Vermillion and Clay County. We haven't seen any increases in those numbers, and I really would like to keep it that way.
Any other comments from the council? Rich?
I would like to request, John, I guess is the right person to do. I have a lot of respect for our medical facilities here, and I would like John, if you could, before our next meeting, or less inform Tim, I'm sorry, I don't remember his last name, but the head of Sanford, for his recommendations. In other words, at some point, if he felt that it was comfortable to relax him some, would like to hear that, as I would be very interested in his comments. So, John, if you could ask him either before the next meeting or ask him when he feels there should be a change or could be a change, he'd let us know. I would appreciate it.
Sure, we can make contact to see what they might say.
Julia?
To echo Rich's comments, I also want to recognize that the VCDC organized a virtual town hall this past week where Tim Tracy was on that meeting. And it seemed from his recommendation that he was encouraging us to continue with as much closing as possible. I would also, and there were several community leaders as part of that meeting, and I hope to see more of those. In addition, I want to continue to encourage people to use the different options that we have now, including purchasing, delivery, takeout, gift cards, the Vermillion Victory Bonds. There are a lot of things that we can do as citizens to try to mitigate these circumstances, even if we're certainly far from ideal circumstances.
Thank you, Julia. Any other comments from the council? John, if our action is just to continue forward, we don't have to take any action. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, seeing no further comments, I would say that we would move on to our next item, new business. Item 8B, agreement for professional services with Stockwell Engineers for the downtown streetscape project. And Jose?
Thank you. The city has been working with the bid board number 2 from now on board to complete a streetscape project that would tie Main Street together and serve as a framework to showcase the downtown area. The board was created with intent to provide a funding mechanism to bring forward a streetscape plan for downtown Vermillion and to facilitate the design of the project. Staff has presented 2 updates to the council at past meetings. These updates were regarding the consultant selection and the development of the professional services document being considered tonight. The document that the city and Stockwell developed sets expectations of the city and how Stockwell will achieve those expectations. The end result is to have a set of construction documents that is developed with public input throughout the entire process. In order to achieve this, Stockwell is proposing to have several public meetings throughout the design phases. The first meeting will be a design charrette. This charrette will last between 2 and 3 days. During the charrette, Stockwell would allow stakeholders and the public an opportunity to provide opinions and comments on how the downtown area should be improved. In addition to the charrette, Stockwell will have a few smaller meetings with property owners to discuss specific concerns or improvements closer to their properties. Stockwell will also hold a meeting during the design to present the progress of the project to the public. In addition to the meeting, Stockwell will also be required to complete a topographical survey, inspect the protrusions from basements under the sidewalks, create a cost estimate, develop construction documents, and manage the bidding process. The cost for the services described in the agreement is $238,318. This would be funded by the second penny funds. This cost was included in the original project cost discussed by the City Council at previous meetings. Also, the city has reserved some money for this project. This money that's reserved can be used to pay for this cost. The board held a meeting on April 15th. At that meeting, the board unanimously recommended that the council enter into an agreement with Stockwell to complete the construction documents for the downtown streetscape project. Staff concurs with the board's recommendation. It should be noted that the board is composed of 5 individuals. 4 of the members are business owners in the downtown area. Their businesses are currently being affected by the restrictions set by the city due to the COVID-19 situation and will be affected by the project's construction. Even though their finances will be negatively affected, they still feel very strongly that the completion of the project will show that Vermillion has an optimistic outlook on the current situation, has a bright future, and that the project will showcase the downtown area. I want to say that besides myself, to answer questions, we have Mr. James Waters. He's the president or the chairperson of the bid board and also owner of 2 businesses in the downtown area. And then we also have Mr. David Locke. He's with Stockwell, and he could also answer some questions if you guys have any.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak to this item before we turn it to the council? Seeing none, I would turn it to the council for questions or comments, either for Jose, for Jim, or for David. Rich?
David, will the current virus going through, will it affect your time schedule, or can you do most of your work around that at this point?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part. Did you ask in regards to the virus? Is that what you said?
Well, is it going to affect your schedule?
Yeah. No. Even from a public input standpoint, we're in the process of working on some other projects where we'll be hosting virtual public meetings through the use of Zoom So that's certainly something that can be done as a part of this project to keep it on task and on schedule. So we have the staff available to get started on the project right away, work on the design through the summer, and into the fall and first part of winter. So in terms of our the virus affecting us completing the schedule, we do not foresee that as being an issue.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? Any thoughts from the council about proceeding? Rich?
Yeah. I move that we accept the agreement with Stockwell Engineering.
We have a motion by Rich,
Second by Steve.
a second by Steve. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Oh, sorry. Howard?
Do we have the funding in place now, the cash available for this, that we can postpone future endeavors on this front? If we get the design now, can we hold it for a year until we know there's going to be funding?
Would you be able to answer that, Jose?
My understanding is yes, that we can. We could do the design right now and then just shelve the design of the project for a year or so and see what happens with our funding next year. I think that would be a very, at this point, probably a prudent choice.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate at the roll. Aye.
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 Humphrey?
Aye.
Price?
Aye.
Sorensen?
Aye.
Ward?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to new business, item C, Nutrient Development Program Reinvestment Agreement. And John?
Thank you. Excuse me. Last December, the Planning Commission approved a conditional use permit with Nutrient to construct an agricultural retail facility. This will be located at the northwest corner of the intersection of 317th Street and North Crawford Road, or directly north of Masaba there. Just to kind of recap, they're going to be an agricultural retail facility would include a 29,900 square foot dry fertilizer building, a 28,950 square foot ag product warehouse building, a 3,400 square foot office building, a 1 million gallon bulk liquid fertilizer tank, and then obviously associated site work with this. All totaled, this should be over $13 million worth of building and site improvements that would take place on this parcel. As we've had with some of these other large projects come along, they have made a request working with the VCDC for a sales and use tax rebate. This would be, on the proposed agreement, would be a sales and use tax rebate on the construction materials to build the facility here in Vermillion. This would be capped at $100,000 would be the maximum rebate that they would be available for. It would only be, as I noted, for construction building materials where the sales and use tax is paid in the city of Vermillion. And the proposal is to rebate one of the 2% local sales and use tax rebate for the construction building materials. How this works is similar to some of the other projects that we've had. They would document and submit those invoices to the VCDC. That information would be verified that the sales tax was indeed paid in Vermillion. That information would be provided to the city. The city council would have an opportunity to approve the rebate check to the VCDC, who would then rebate that money back to Nutrient. The agreement is conditioned upon approval of the agreement before you this evening, as well as the issuance of a building permit, and they would be eligible for this rebate on construction building materials through September 30th of 2021. Included with your packet was a copy of the proposed agreement. It's very similar to what we've done with a couple other projects, but obviously specific to the parameters of this project. and we'd be happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Thank you, John. If there are any comments from the public, we'll just give it a few seconds before we turn it over to the council. Okay, turning to the council for questions or comments. And I believe Nate is also available for questions.
I have a question, Madam President.
Go ahead, Tom.
I need a memory refresher again, if you please, Jose. Did the Planning Commission, or has there been any kind of an environmental impact statement or study or requirement regarding this project?
For nutrient?
Yeah, for fertilizer next to the big drainage ditch that goes to the Vermillion River in the northeast part of town?
I guess that's nothing that the city doesn't require that. If anything, it would be something the state would be requiring.
Yeah, we don't require it, but are we interested?
No, that's, like I said, that's typically something the state would require through their environmental process. But as far as I know, I'm not aware of any. I don't know if Nate is aware of any. But no, we haven't heard of any.
Can you tell me where the drainage from this place goes then? Does it go to that major ditch on the south side of the highway?
The drainage actually for that ditch would be collected. There's an inlet. It depends where they're going to be going. It's either going to be going north on Crawford, or it's going to be going south into an inlet somewhere along their property, and that goes to the north ditch, eventually making its way to the south ditch.
And in a 1 million gallon of liquid fertilizer, that million, is that about the same size as the big tank by the library of the city's tank?
Yeah, that would be the same tank. The only difference between those two is that the one at the fertilizer plant would actually have a containment area around it. So if there's a leak, that containment would actually be designed to collect 1 million gallons.
Because our tank has water in it.
Yep, so we don't need a containment for that.
Thank you.
Expensive.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Other questions or comments from the council? Steve?
Nate, have you or anyone expressed any concerns about smell from this particular facility?
Sure.
Steve, this is Nate Welch with the Vermillion Area Chamber and Development Company. I believe.
Yes, I know that.
Just letting the rest of everyone for the formality. I believe you were asking that to me. Sorry, it cut out right at the beginning. So if I'm interjecting when you weren't asking me the question, I apologize for assuming wrong. But to answer your question, we have not gotten any specific questions from residents or individuals about a concern for smell. And the initial conversations that we've had, it has been stated to us that it's an odorless process. That's the only conversations that we've had in this.
And Nate, am I correct that some version of this does exist elsewhere within city limits already? Is that correct?
Yes, you're exactly right, Madam President. The current location where they operate is commonly known as right below the hill, right south of Main Street, in a facility. That facility is what will be shutting down and then moving all of those operations, as well as increasing operations to the new site. So that facility that is currently located inside the city limits, in fact, relatively close to a number of residential places, will actually be shutting down, and then they'll be moving up to the new location, which would stay inside the city limits.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Kelsey? It's Jose.
Yes, go ahead.
Regarding Steve's question, that actually came up at the Planning Commission meeting, and their answer, like Nate said, is that there's nothing at this location or at this facility that would be creating any odors. So that did come up during the Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. Thank you both.
If there are no more questions or comments, I would entertain a motion of some kind.
Move approval, Hellwig.
Second, Price.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your approval at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Hellwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen, Ward,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
Madam President? What was
Yes.
the count? What was the ayes and nays count?
I believe it was 8 ayes. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, it was, 8 ayes.
Thank you.
Next item, new business item D, resolution pledging Vermillion Now funds toward infrastructure. And John?
Thank you. I realized I forgot to mention one item with the nutrient that probably would be relevant or background helpful to the council. It was in your packet, but the state is also considering a similar sales tax rebate for a portion of the sales and use tax paid by nutrient. Theirs is not Vermillion specific, but I should have mentioned that for the benefit of the public during that. I apologize. Item D, the resolution approving Vermillion Now funds. The Chamber of Commerce and Development Company has been working with a prospect looking at constructing a building and a parking lot on what is known as Outlot B. And Jose will have a map here that he'll be putting up shortly. The proposal before you this evening is to allow some of the Vermillion Now funds. Vermillion Now 1 and 2, the first two original campaigns, Vermillion Now, have $189,922 of second penny funds that the City Council pledged to Vermillion Now 1 and 2 that were not utilized. And as you recall, part of the challenge sometimes is having an eligible project that qualifies for second penny funding. And so the proposal before you this evening is the resolution would provide funding. This is about 370 feet of road which would be constructed from Princeton Street west to serve Outlot B as well as Outlot 6 to the north, and then 4A and 4B. Excuse me, 4B. It would serve access to those parcels, enhanced access to those parcels. What this item would be doing, you'd be pledging that funding. It's a little bit different in that the VCDC would enter into an agreement to construct public infrastructure by private development. So the VCDC, working with the developer, would construct that road. That agreement agrees upon the standards at which that road would be built. When the road is complete, then the road would be turned over to the city. And so that's why we have this agreement. The agreement spells out how the road would be constructed, the guarantee on it, items related to that. Upon completion of that road and in conformance with the agreement, then the VCDC would be reimbursed for the cost of that road from the Vermillion Now 1 and 2 funding that's available. We do have a couple steps along the way that need to be completed. There need to be right-of-way platted through the lot there. That's for B, right? I get my A and B mixed up. Okay, so right-of-way would need to be platted. So this agreement is contingent on two things: the platting of street right-of-way through Lot 4B, as well as the City Council approving an agreement to construct public infrastructure by private development. That's the VCDC building the road to city standards. Those items need to be completed and as part of condition of the resolution. So basically, this is your pledge that yes, you approve of this use of Vermillion Now 1 and 2 funding to be able to complete the construction of this road. I would note that our estimated cost on the street is about $140,000, so there should be ample funding within there to be able to pave that. And I think if that were to exceed that amount, I think the City Council, if you approve funding of 1 and 2, you could, if that was the wishes of the VCDC, look at using some Vermillion Now 3 funding as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, John. Is there any comments from the public before we turn it over to council? If you're watching and just want to say hi so we know it works, that's fine too. Okay. Seeing none, we'll turn it to the council if there are any questions. Brian?
So this goes to Nate probably, or maybe Jose, but would the length of that road be comparable to the new Elm Street Road by the Dome?
As far as the width of it?
But as far as the length and the width?
No, it's going to be slightly narrower. It's probably going to be about 24 feet wide.
Okay.
So it's going to be slightly narrower than Elm. And yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Or a motion?
I move approval.
Second by Hellwig.
We've got a motion by Holland and a second by Hellwig. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please signify your approval at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Hellwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is new business item E, appointment to Historic Preservation Commission. We did have an opening on the commission, and we also had one applicant. So we will be appointing Johnny Byers to that commission. He's my neighbor. That's not why he's getting appointed. He's the only one that applied. So. Congratulations, Johnny. Our next item of new business is...
Kelsey,
Sorry.
we should probably get a motion from the
Do we need
council to approve that appointment and then a
Okay.
vote.
Move approval. Catherine?
Second. Holland.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the appointment. All in favor, please signify at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Hellwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our next item is an agreement with Mr. Michael Barkle, owner of Lot 1 and 2, Block 2, Aroba Edition, regarding sanitary sewer service. And Jose?
Thank you. Mr. Michael Barkle, who's the owner of, if I have the projector. There it is. He's the owner of lots 1 and 2. As you mentioned, Block 2 Aroba Edition. Mr. Barkle is actually planning on building a single-family detached house on Lot 1. However, as all of you guys know, in order for you to build a house, you typically need 3 utilities: water, sanitary, sewer, and electric. All of those are available to Mr. Barkle. However, out of those 3, the sanitary sewer is going to be a little bit more difficult for Mr. Barkle to acquire. And that's simply because the closest sanitary sewer that's owned by the city would be right here. Mr. Barkle is trying to build over here. So when it's over 200 feet away from the structure, the city ordinance actually allows a property owner to build a septic system. But because this ground is actually so saturated, it's actually going to be very difficult for Mr. Barkle to construct a septic system in this area. And it's going to, if he can construct it, then he's going to be having issues in the future with how it operates or the cost of the initial construction as well. So rather than doing that, Mr. Barkle is actually asking if he could construct a sewage pump at his house, a private one, and then just pump everything all the way to that manhole that the city already owns. All of that cost would be Mr. Barkle's cost. Same thing with the tapping of the city sanitary sewer at that location. This agreement, what essentially it says is that it clarifies that Mr. Barkle will still be responsible, as I mentioned, for the cost of the sanitary sewer if it were to be extended to his house. Additionally, the agreement would state that if the sewer is extended, and what I'm talking about is actual city sewer, if that sewer gets extended in the future all the way up to here, that at that point Mr. Barkle would not be responsible for any additional fees or the reconnection to the city sanitary sewer system, simply because he already paid for it at one point. So as far as the financial consideration, the city will be incurring the filing fee once it's filed. With all of that being said, administration recommends that the city council authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Mr. Barkle, owner of Lot 1 and 2, Block 2, Aroba Addition.
Thank you, Jose. If there are any comments from the public, we'll give that a few seconds and then we will turn it over to the council. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Rich, then I'll get to you, Steve.
Jose, is it necessary for him to have a pump? Is he actually below the sewer line of our city line? He has to pump. In other words, if we went out there, would we have to make a lift station?
It would be necessary for him to actually have a pump because of the elevation that he's going to be choosing for his house. I think the floor elevation, the main floor elevation, is going to be almost the same elevation as the road right now, but he wants to have a basement. So then, for him to have a bathroom in the basement, he has to have a pump in the house.
So it's the basement. Thank you.
Yep.
And Steve, and then while Steve is asking his question, Don, would it be possible to show the picture again? Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, sorry. Are there other examples of private citizens connecting with utilities in the city?
You mean with sewer pumps?
Sure, or anything else.
I mean, we do have a lot of citizens that have utilities in the city, but as far as
I mean, connecting to a city, privately connecting to a city existing utility.
Yeah, actually, every sanitary sewer service is owned by the property owner all the way up to the main. So at your house, you own all the way up to the middle of the street, all the way up to Main Street or Linden, I think it is. I can't remember. But anyways, as far as the actual sewage pumps, there are some examples of that on West Main. The winery is actually one of them, and Greg Wyer's house, and also Miss Joni Friedel's house. Also, I think all of those three houses have sewage pumps right now. So it's not
unusual.
Yeah, no, it's not unusual. But yeah, this is the drawing that Kelsey wanted to look at again.
No, I appreciate that. Obviously, I need a lot of drawings for me to understand these. So, thank you. That answers my question.
Move approval, Helwig.
Second, Ward.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your approval at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Helwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing as we don't appear to have bid openings, we'll move on to the city manager's report. John?
Thank you. We had one opening that was filled, but just a reminder, we do have a couple more openings coming up here that hopefully will have appointments at the next meeting. The Human Relations Commission, they have three terms expiring in May. One term is for a post-secondary student and is a one-year term. The other two terms are for 3 years, and we'll have this as part of your May 4th City Council agenda. We do ask that expression of interest forms be turned in by April 30th at noon, and those are available through the city's website. Our library board also has two terms that are expiring in May. These terms are for 3 years. We anticipate, again, that you'll have this as part of your May 4th agenda, and again, ask that expression of interest forms be submitted by April 30th. Curbside recycling, just a reminder, we've had several calls on this, is paused right now, and we'll begin that service again after we move forward past the pandemic. Just an update, earlier this year we had the emergency water crossing under the Vermillion River. We've been trying to keep the council and public updated as we've moved this project through. It was completed late last week, and we have now completed 2 separate tests, and it has passed both of those tests. So we anticipate that this water line will be put into service later this week. And just again, another reminder that our census is underway. If you need an activity, it takes 10 minutes to complete. We'd ask that you please complete the 2020 census. It would definitely help the city of Vermillion and Clay County in this process. So please take a few minutes. I think we're around 56% response rate at this point in time, and I'd like to see, we hope to have a much higher number at your next council meeting to report. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Invoices payable. Do we have any questions for Mike about our invoices this month? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move we pay the bills. Wilson.
Second, Price.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Helwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now moving to a piece of new business that we had moved to later on the agenda. Want to thank the public for their patience with us tonight. Obviously, doing council this way is not easy, and it's difficult for us, but it's been a difficult day all around, and I'm going to turn it over to John to discuss item 8A.
Okay. You wanted me to go ahead and read the letter, is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, so just a little preface, it is included in the city council packet. Last Thursday or Wednesday, received a letter from Mayor Jack Powell that I'll read here. Dear Vermillion City Council, City Administration, City staff, partner organizations, and Vermillion citizens. As many of you may be aware, I have been dealing with some significant health issues for the past 5.5 years. I have been very fortunate, blessed, and thankful to have world-class medical care and cutting-edge treatment through the collaborative efforts of the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Sanford Health in Sioux Falls, Sanford Health in Vermillion, and the Olson Medical Clinic in Vermillion. In addition, the loving care, concern, and support from my wife, family, friends, professional colleagues, and members of this community has been truly incredible and invaluable to me on this journey. We have successfully managed to overcome many unique challenges and to beat many odds along the way. We have come to a point in which my situation is medically incurable, further treatment options are limited, and my ability to physically rebound from treatment is increasingly challenging. As a result, I feel that I am no longer able to effectively continue to lead the City of Vermillion as mayor, and would ask that you accept my resignation at the next City Council meeting on April 20th, 2020. While this decision has not been an easy one to make, I am confident that the City of Vermillion will carry on and continue to flourish with the very capable City Council members, City Administration, and City staff who are in place. I am very proud of all that we have achieved together during my 10 years, 2.5 terms as mayor, and my 10 years of service as a City Council representative prior to that. I am honored and blessed to have served this great community. My wife and I will continue to do all that we can to support the City of Vermillion and our citizens. We wish you the very best always. Sincerely, Mayor John Jack Powell and wife Lisa Ketchum.
That was about all John could do.
Thank you, John. Mayor Jack did pass away this morning. His wife, Lisa, I believe, is here and would like to share a few words with us. So if you feel able to do that, Lisa.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Ketchum, Mayor Jack's wife. I wanted to come tonight to express on Jack's behalf the great sense of pride that he had in serving his community in his roles as mayor and city council representative for the past 20 years. He thought so much of all of you city council representatives, our city administration, our city staff, and our citizens of this great community. Thank you all for your thoughts of him tonight and for the great teamwork and support that you have shared over the years in building legacies and making a true impact and a difference in the lives of all of us citizens. We grieve together. He will be missed by so many. And he very much wanted us to carry on with the great work that has been done and to build upon that in serving and supporting each other long into the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. At this time, John, should I read the resolution?
I think this, yes, please.
Okay. We did prepare a resolution of appreciation that I would like to read now. Resolution of appreciation for John E. Jack Powell, Vermillion Mayor and City Council Member. Whereas Jack Powell gave unselfishly of his time to improve our community. And whereas Jack Powell served the community as a city council member representing the Northeast Ward starting in May 2000 and serving in that position until July 2010. And whereas Jack Powell was elected mayor in July 2010 and subsequently re-elected to serve as mayor in 2014 and 2018 to serve as mayor until July 2022. And whereas Jack Powell actively pursued the interest of all Vermillion residents while promoting city policies that benefited the entire Vermillion community. And whereas Jack Powell actively served on city council committees, tirelessly worked on behalf of citizens, and was a steadfast supporter of the building of City Hall, Prentice Plunge, the electric transmission line, and the remodeling and expansion of the Vermillion Public Library, amongst many other projects that have enhanced Vermillion and we all enjoy today. And whereas Jack Powell expanded the community relationship with the University of South Dakota through 45 years of teaching, running the shot clock, and tirelessly supporting USD. And whereas Jack Powell represented the city by serving on numerous community boards and committees, as well as city liaison to many organizations. And whereas Jack Powell represented the community nationally through the American Public Power Association and in the region through Missouri River Energy Services, who recognized him with the 2009 MRES Community Leader Award and the 2018 Maurice A. Topasky Public Official Award, being the only individual to have received both awards. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Vermillion City Council, with regret, accept the resignation of John E. Jack Powell as mayor, and be it further resolved that his fellow members of the Vermillion City Council, on behalf of the community and city staff, do hereby extend our deepest appreciation to John Jack Powell for his dedicated service to the community as mayor and council member for the city of Vermillion. Dated at Vermillion, South Dakota, this 20th day of April, 2020. Sean, is this something that we need to vote on?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I'd like to move approval of the resolution.
I'll have to second it, Brian.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor, please indicate at the roll.
Collier-Wise,
Aye.
Helwig,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Humphrey,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Sorensen,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all. Finally, before we adjourn, Councilwoman Catherine Price has prepared a song that she would like to sing for us tonight in remembrance and honor of Jack. We would really like to all be together right now, and it's very difficult, and so I appreciate this symbolic way for us to honor Jack and to think about him right now before we adjourn. So I would ask that everyone please mute your microphones to avoid feedback. And Catherine, whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me? So I prepared this just a statement. It's hard to know what to say at a time like this. I know we've all been in a state of shock today. As a musician, I fall back on the power of art to express those things we don't have words for. Right now, not only in response to unexpected loss, but also in the face of a global health crisis, widespread social isolation, and mounting economic uncertainty, I'd like to share this to try to bring some solace. I know that in the last week, this song has been a message of reassurance for many people, so I'd like to sing it for you tonight, and I hope it brings some peace. Amazing grace.
Thank you, Catherine. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think it's my place to move we adjourn.
I'll second. Holland.
We have a motion by Ward and a second by Holland to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify at the roll.
Collier Wise. Collier Wise.
The chambers is muted.
Collier Wise.
Aye.
Helwig.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Humphrey.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Sorensen.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.